Having a few problems with the Rockshox Dart 3 forks. I've not taken them to bits before and serviced them. I've had the bike for about 10 years and they're really stiff now. They're struggling. I'll show you kind of when we push down, they're just really tight. It's rock hard. We're switched off on the lockout, but they're not reactive at all. They're sticking. Yeah, well overdue. So what we're going to do, strip them down, give them a good service and put it all back together again. You can actually see on here how the residue is coming up through the seal, causing it to darken. I've cleaned this off before, but it just keeps coming back. So there's an issue going on inside here. I think I'll take it to bits and find it quite mucky and dirty in there. These are not the most expensive forks in the world, but they've done me proud. It's had a lot of abuse, this bike has. It's done plenty of trails and stuff. So I'm reluctant to buy some new ones. I really want to get these fixed up and see if we can service them, get them back and run up nice again. First things first, let's pop off this brake caliper and just release these two 5mm bolts out of here. That's one. Two. And we can slide that off now. That's separated. Got this little cable tie holding the brake cable to the fork there, so I'll just slip that off there. I say cable, it's not actually a cable, it's hydraulic. So that's that out of the way. Okay, next up is this circlip holding on this tab on the top. So we'll get the circlip pliers into there, squeeze and remove that from there. Now we should be able to just pop the top off that. Prise it off. There you go, and there's a little, we've got the circular mark there, we know where that's coming from. Okay, now we've got this 24mm nut on here, and we'll just release that. It's not too tight. Okay, that's that unit there. And as that's come out, we've got the noggin there that goes towards the centre. So you can see there, as I depress the fork, the fluid level just rises in the chamber. Up and down, up and down. So how does this lockout lever work on the top there? Basically, it's a nice simple device. You've obviously got the oil within the fork, and that sits in the top of the leg there. So obviously it's on the other side, but anyway, we're just going to do a demonstration. So the bottom of the fork is full of oil up until the point of the bottom of this lockout unit. So the oil level is sitting there. Once you turn that valve on the top into the lockout position, all it's doing is, it's just a little valve, a one-way valve. It's stopping the oil travelling up inside and coming out through the inside of this valve. So you're just going to lock that off. It stops any transfer of fluid through this valve, which then the oil can't compress and it locks the fork solid. when you unlock the lockout device, it opens up the valve on the bottom, so when the fork compresses, the oil can travel up inside this unit, allowing the forks to compress. Any residual will come out the top valve into this chamber. So that is all it is. It's just a one-way valve, and obviously if you do it half, then it's restricting the flow through, which just puts resistance within the fork as well. So it's a really simple device, but really effective. Let me move on to the other side. Just a very light spring tension there as that popped out, and that's what you're left with there. So all this is doing, this is your preload. As you can see, as I'm winding that in and out, all it's doing is making this extending, pre-tensioning up the spring. That's all it's doing. So it's just compressing the spring in the top of the suspension unit and making it firmer. That's all that's doing, and that's your preload. Right, let's spin the bike over. Now we know we've got oil in here, so I've got my trusty jug, and I'll try and just tip that into the jug as we drop it down. Let's see how much is in there. I don't think it's going to be masses. There we go, look, out it comes. Excellent. Keep that going just while we spin it over. Okay. So I think we managed to catch most of that oil there. That's the remainder. And we've got 100 millilitres. And then we proceed to the bottom. The rebound again. Just literally pop that off the top there. It's a tiny little Allen key, look. That's all that is. It just presses on, it just clips on. You'd think that'd come off, but it's got a little clip, just holds it on there. I'll put that in the tray along with that one. Right, now we proceed to take out these two off the bottom here. Tighten out, not bad at all. So what we're going to do is just crack these off. I'll tell you what, I'll whip the wheel out while we're at this point. Let's have rid of that. Get that out of the way. What are we fiddling about there? Okay, so there we go. So now we've got these two bolts here. We'll just get them. That's there. Let's just do it back in one thread. Same with that one. With the old trusty rubber mallet. Just tap those down. Like so. And then we can undo them a bit more. That one's come out. That one's out, so let's get rid of that one. That's the big one, the bigger head of the two is on the left hand side. Oh, we've got a bit more oil just starting to dribble out here. Not much, just a small amount. I'll just get another bit of paper towel there. So let's just pop the jug back, just depress that now, see if I can get the rest of that. There is any more in there. I'm going to get more out. They don't look like it, I think that's a lot. a tap again. Put that one on this side. And there we have the leg off. Okay, so that weren't too painful. Now we can see what we're up against. So the side that's been causing us all this problem is this side, and as you can see, the grease is just congealed on this chrome shaft, which is causing it to stick. This side is as clean as a whistle, which is the oiled side, and that's why it's not giving us any problems. This side, it's got the oil in there and it's continually lubricated. So looking at this, all we're going to do is clean this all up and re-grease it, and it will be as good as new. So let's give it a good clean down. Everybody's favourite, a bit of carb cleanup. Always good for getting off this congealed grease and stuff. Just don't get it on your seals, otherwise it will completely destroy them. I mean, look at that straight away, look. Absolutely beautiful. And just coming out the bottom of there, here we have the spring. It's just dropped out the bottom, but no problem at all. It's got plenty of grease on that. It just needs just pushing it around, working it around. It's a bit more grubby at the bottom, but it doesn't look too bad. That's come out obviously with that end to the top, so we can put that back in again, no problem at all. We'll give that a clean up. On the spring side, we'll clean that up on the around these O-rings and at the bottom there. I'm not going to take all of the grease out of this spring. It's a completely pointless operation. This grease in here has hardly been used, and it's not lost any of its lubrication properties. It's just been bouncing around within the spring. The only bit that's actually been used is around the seal at the top, so that will go straight back in again. We'll pop a bit more on that when we get round to it. A little bit more on there. Just get some to poke down there. Right, let's just move this over here a bit more so you can see what we're doing. So what I've got is a piece of threaded bar, 8mm, and I'll just gently lower that into there, try not to touch any of the seals, and we can just push out. valve on the end there. And there it is. So that's the other part there, and we can see the seal on that is absolutely beautiful. Got no problems there at all. So this is the rebound side, and often wondered what the adjustment does. So you've got the little key that sits in the bottom of there, in the bottom of the leg, and what it's doing is when we turn this adjuster at the bottom here, it's actually rotating that valve at the top up there. You can just see that opening and closing. Oh, focus, come on, there we go. You can just see that opening and closing there, look. You've only got a quarter of a turn, and what that is doing, it's opening the valve inside here, which this is submerged in oil. So this sits on the top where there's this submersion of oil, and it's just allowing oil to pass through the valve on the return, which is just altering the feel. So when you've been twiddling this knob and riding it down the road and thinking, is it doing anything? Well, yeah, it actually is, look. It is altering the return flow of the oil through that leg. Unbelievable, Jeff. So that's lovely. In fact, it's that good it can go back in again. That's no worries at all with that. There we go, stick that back in there. Right. Clean as a whistle, that. Clean as a whistle. This side, it's still got a bit more residue around there, so let's give that another wipe. And this is where his problem has been, I think. You can see that. What I've got here is just a little bit of wire wool with a little bit of brake cleaner on there again. And we'll just rub that on. And that is, it sounds coarse, that does. Sounds a bit coarse. So we might well have a bit of corrosion going on. Let's have a look. That bit's come up nice there. That there is, oh, is it pitted? I think the chrome's gone. Yeah, you can hear how that's sounding. The chrome is actually pitted away on that. That's a real shame. That's a real shame, that. Just make sure we get any of the residue off from that wire wool. So you can now see this pitting on that leg, and that's corroded through the chrome. Nothing we can do about that. That's them forks written off, really. I'll put it back together again, re-grease it. It'll be alright temporarily, but it will need some new forks on it, which is a real shame. Okay, there we got it up there nicely. Okay, now we've got the hollow leg, and this one here is a pretty skanky inside there, so we're going to need to give this a good clean inside. Now I'm not going to put brake cleaner inside this one, it will damage the seal, but what I can use is a piece of a small amount of penetrating oil just to help away with this stubborn grease that's congealed inside here. So I've got this is Teflon, a bit like WD-40, just with a bit more bias to it. So I can spray that inside there and then just clean it up. And just the right shape and size would be something along those lines. What we can do is just wrap the end of this in the paper towel. And stuff it up the hole. Not that much, a bit too much, gone a bit carried away there. Get a fair amount of that and just rip that off, plunge it in all the way to the end, and then using this bit of rod we had earlier, we can just push that back out again. I've got some super long pliers as well, we can just grab hold of that and pull it out. We'll do the same again. A bit more in there. Push that all the way in. Poke it back out again. It's looking a bit better. Not get the right wax close, I nearly put brake cleaner in there. Yep, that looks nice and clean in there. That side's really good. When we're rebuilding the spring side, this is, you can get the Rockshox suspension spring grease, otherwise known as PH grease. It's all the same stuff. So let's just whack a bit around there. Get a bit of that round, just a bit of fresh on that. Let's give it a bit on the leg just to make it nice. Get it nice, because I've got this bit here, so let's just whack a bit of that on there. A bit on there, lovely, lovely. Just help it slide down a bit better. I'll just give this another bit of a wipe on that side there. So what I'll do is just plop a bit of this inside there behind that seal, because that's where we're going to be on the spring side. That's where the action's taking place, so we'll get some of that inside there. We're not going to go too mad. Okay, and now we can drop this back on again. Once we're putting it back down again, you just got to be careful you don't pucker up this seal as it passes over the top of the fork leg. So we'll just drop that in nicely. Nice and steady. And then gently as she goes over this leg without puckering it up. Have a look at those seals, they look good. Wipe off any of that excess that we don't really need on there. And we'll drop that down and we can get that drop those in there like that. So on the rebuild we've just got to nip these up to start with. which just pulls those legs nicely into place. Okay, now they've got to come off again in a minute. Just to drop, we need to drop 10 millilitres of oil into each one, but we've got to put the other end on first just to be sure it's all nicely sealed up. Okay, right, let's spin it over. Spin it over the other way. And we've got a spring. We'll just use a bit of this grease. Just make sure we go around the seals. We can drop that back in again. Okay, so we'll just lift that up, get some, probably just pop my hand there a second, and then we just need to give that a little tap, a tip tap, tap it tap, with a tapper of some sort. Get it past the seal there. Drop the rebound back in there. Oops, daisy. I've got to go mad, just get it nipped up. Like so. And then the other side, we need to drop in, we've got 100 millilitres of oil to go in there, so we're going to put that back in again. Okay, nicely done that. And then we'll have the lockout back in again. Make sure that's not on lockout actually, because we need that to be undone. So to there, and now that should go in. There she goes. And then we'll whiz that up. Snip that up. Got the little O-ring there that sits on the top. Sits on there like that. And then we'll put that back down again. Yeah, there we go. Right, get that circlip back on again. Yeah, there we go, lovely. Okay. Right, now just spin it back over again. And now we just need to whip out those, whip these out again, out the bottom. Like I say, it's just 10 millilitres of oil we need to add into each one. And if you're unsure of 10 millilitres, 1 teaspoon is 5 millilitres. So it's 2 teaspoons of oil in each one, unless you've got a syringe, and you can just pipe it in. Okay, so I've got the fork oil. It's 15 weight is what the oil is. Stick a bit in there. You can use the Rockshox oil, but it's pretty standard stuff. You know, any motorbike suspension oil, it's all the same thing. That's a 10, and we'll stick 10 in that one. And 10 in that one. Doesn't get any coming out. Okay, and then we can stick the nuts back in the top. Screw them down again. Nip them up nicely. Bingo. There's a little lockout pin, goes back in the top there. Sorry, lockout, the little rebound pin will drop in, and there we have it, like that quarter turn action that we saw from the other side. Super. Put it in the middle for now. Okay. We'll spin it back over again. Now we can reroute the brake. Again, that was just as before. Brake pads, you can see them clearly now, they've got plenty of meat on them. So we'll slide that in. Now this is a floating caliper, you've got a lot of movement. So the way to adjust this up is to pull the front brake on, like so. So the front brake is now pressed, and with the other hand I'm going to nip these up now. Gently, gently, gently. Just nip these up. And all we're looking for is to keep this from sliding side to side. We want it to go up straight. Once it's nipped in, like that, I can now hold it in place and just finish off the job. It's 1. And again, hold it in place. 2. Perfect. And now we know that that is all in line. So we'll pop the hose back in there, pop the cable tie around, I don't want that where I can't see it really, so let's get that around the back. That's better, like that. There we go. So there we have it, all rebuilt nicely. Got really good, nice smooth action again on the springs, and if I put the lockout down, it's absolutely solid as a rock. It's, yeah, bang on. Really, really pleased with that. So they've got a few years left in them. Well, I'm hoping anyway. Even though that side's picked up on the chrome, it still seems to be working well now. It's got some fresh grease in there and it's all cleaned out. We'll see how we get on with it. Yeah, it looks pretty good. It looks all nicely serviced up. If that's been of any use to you, drop me a comment. If you think I've made a complete hash of it, let me know. I'm always open to suggestions of how to improve what I do. But I think that looks like a pretty good job. We've figured out how it all works, and you're really pleased. So, thanks for watching.